are live. This is always the awkward moment when you start something live and you're not at all sure if you're if you're broadcasting or not. And I know I've said this before, but do you see if I'm live, Francis? Not yet. Okay.
No, it's YouTube not.
Do you see if I'm live, Francis?
Yes, we
Okay,
are live now.
great. I even heard myself. So, okay. In that case, we are now 3 people here, and those of you that are joining in, you might not have seen Marco before, but now is the time. So please introduce yourself, Marco.
Hello, I'm Marco Zennaro. I'm a researcher in an institution which is called ICTP, the Abdus Salam International Center for Theoretical Physics. We're based in Trieste, Italy, northeastern part of Italy. And I'm part of a unit which is called Science, Technology, and Innovation. And I have been working in IoT for very long, started in 2004, when we used to call this technology wireless sensor networks. So I have seen over the years the evolution of the technology. Really glad for the invitation. Thank you very much, Frederick and Francis, and looking forward to interacting with many of you.
That's great. So we will see more of you very soon, next week. So we can show you the agenda points very short here. And this might be a concept that many of you might have not experienced before. If not, this is like a weekly blog, video blog. So the aim is, as I think Francis have told you before, and we also talked about during the course introduction, the aim is to have a weekly blog, a video blog, where we talk about what has happened during the week and what will happen during the next week, and sort out any other information that might have been unclear, and that will for sure happen. I mean, it's so please, you don't have to watch these live. If you do, that's obviously then you have the possibility to ask questions during the stream, but otherwise these should be fine to watch even afterwards, as long as you watch them, and they should be only relevant for the actual week, more or less, of course. But that's the thing, and we have put a link on the study guide. So there is a HackMD document, which is the same document that you see here being shared there. It will be updated as we speak. So we will just fill information week after week with the agenda points for these video blogs. Yeah. And I don't want to be the only one talking, so what happened this week? Francis, if you start with the course intro and intro to IoT.
Yes, on Monday you had this reflection on the study guide and repeated some of the course plan that we are going through, and on Tuesday I had this introduction to IoT lectures. Basically it was a pre-recorded lectures that was followed by a live questions and answer sessions and discussions. Just after the lecture, the quiz 1 on IoT was also published, and I see many of you also started taking the quiz. It's fairly easy, just to give you some more complementary information on IoT, and you can take it multiple times, and don't worry about the grades or passing scores and so on. But then we also had this discussion with Anna with very interesting IoT applications that she is doing in Germany from University of Bremen. And we also had a live and interesting session with her from a hardware perspective, from network perspective, from devices perspective, and so on.
Yeah.
And
I do encourage
yes.
everyone to, if you haven't done that just yet, but you have a lineup of 6 videos that Anna has pre-recorded, and they might like be overlapping a little bit in information, maybe also what we were talking about next week, but that's the way it is. But they are really great. So, and I do really like that she was also into the definitions area of IoT. We had a discussion about that, and I think that's super interesting because you have all these buzzwords. You have IoT, you have cyber physical systems, you have wireless sensor networks, body sensor networks, and well, can we come up with some other, Marco?
Well, now you have edge intelligence, right? In some way.
Yeah.
Is that part of IoT? And again, is a smartwatch part of IoT? It's really a tough, field because there is no real unique definition of IoT.
Yeah.
And the more you dig into this issue, the more you're confused.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So in essence, what we have done this first week is to make everyone very confused about what the IoT is. But I think that's a part of the learning journey to talk about the definitions the first week. So, but we could say that IoT is a super broad area, and we could fit in almost whatever in that area, as long as it's sort of communicating with something. It doesn't have to be wireless, even though. Well, do you agree, Marco? An IoT.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
I do. Yes, I do. But then, how does the eye of IoT get into the picture? If it's not wireless and it's not connected to the internet, is it still IoT?
No, not in that case, obviously. But if you have an Ethernet cable that it is connected to the internet.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, but we actually had an interesting discussion about LoRaWAN, and if is that IoT because the devices some kind of definition was that every device needs to have like an sort of an IP address. They should be directly connected to the internet to be in that definition. Obviously, that's not really the definition that we're using in this course because that's. But in that case, LoRaWAN is really like not because. But I would say that most people think that that's a part of IoT, and I do. So, should we? Well, we will talk more about that on Wednesday. So, and I do follow the questions on Discord, and there are none yet, so that's very easy. So
yeah, Fredrik, I'll add some more. So if we're talking about this kind of distributed intelligence, all over the place, right? So if we're only considering microprocessors, that's a limited number, right? There is, some millions, people say, 20 billion devices. Some other people say 50 billion devices, but it's, that range. If we're talking about the microcontrollers, the numbers are unbelievable. It's 250 billion microcontrollers nowadays. So for each one on the Earth, it's about 30, right? Microcontrollers. Yeah. So that's a huge number. So are those part of the IoT in some way? All these kind of distributed devices?
Probably not, but they are part of the cyber physical systems, most likely. So, which is maybe the broader part of the IoT. IoT is just like a sub part of that.
Yeah.
But maybe it doesn't need. I mean, you can have an IoT device which doesn't really interact with the physical reality. Well, we're into deep talk already. So
IoT philosophy, yeah.
I was talking about philosophy. I visited the library. Corona times. Well, I haven't seen the new library. We have a new library at campus. So I was visiting the library and I found the book. Unfortunately, this is in Swedish, but I couldn't refuse to borrow it. Electrosophy. That's electrophilosophy. So it's two guys that has been, I think they're two professor emeritus guys that needed to write a book about philosophy and what they were good at. So, but it's just the title. I couldn't withstand just borrowing it. So, so maybe in 2 years, we'll create a course in IoT and philosophy. So who knows?
Look forward.
Yeah. Let's see. The hardware update. I think that most of you might have gotten your hardware. If not, it should be on the way as soon as, well, that's what I've seen in the channel. I see that Jim, and a big shout out to Jim ElectroKit. If you're watching this, great work. I'm so glad that you have joined in the Discord channel. This is really not something that is like the normal distributor would do, I would say. So I'm very happy for that. I did read some, like in the hardware, there were some people that had been ordering directly from Pycom in UK, and they really got to, well, feel the Brexit when they paid the customs. I think it was 500 crowns or something like that. So yeah, but yeah, let's continue. Hardware update. That's I think hopefully is clear. And then now we got a question. Hi, how will we connect the sensors to the internet? What software will we use? That question tells me one thing, is that you will know everything as soon as we start playing with the hardware. In short, I can give you a very short answer, is that we're going to use Atom or VS Code, Visual Studio Code or Atom, and a PyMaker plugin. And you're connecting that to your computer with the USB cable, and then you start programming, and you can send data in many ways to the internet and interact with, I would say that most of you most likely will start directly with Wi-Fi, which you all have in your homes. But good question, but we will cover it in detail very, very, very soon. So next week we will do that. So then we come directly to the workshop discussions. And just to talk a little bit about the workshops, the TAs are working on this as we speak now. I think they did a shout out on the poll. I think there is like voting going on which times are the best for workshops, etc. They are hungry and they are waiting to start. So I'm just saying, I've talked with them, and so a lot of things will happen when you start working in workshops. And the workshops, I would say, this is a learning journey for us as well. It's let's say that what we're trying to achieve with the workshops is the lab environment. So if you have a campus course, like traditionally on campus, you might have a couple of lectures, like theory lectures, when the professors are talking about something from a book. It could be Marco in this case, or me and Francis, and tell you, and then you get some labs. You're supposed to do this and this and this. Maybe you are supposed to write a short program that does something. And usually in these labs, you're supposed to hand in a lab report or something. And during that time, often there is a TA, a teaching assistant, that is helping you achieve that. But that is sort of the same thing that we're trying to achieve in a distributed online setting. And well, it won't be the same as a lab setting, and in my view, I think this might be even better, because you're much more flexible in how you want to digest and how you want to do it. And a lot of these things that we are going to do is anyway in front of your computer with the USB cable and programming. So I expect for the workshops next week is that try to have a very open mind. Try, if something is not working as good as you think it should do, please come with a suggestion on how to do it better. I mean, we can really like just change as we go. There is nothing in the planning that is written in stone, and I don't think that we do have the right and best solution. We are really like, so never complain, always say, I think this would be a better way to do it. That's what I want to hear. And I know that the TAs are really trying their absolutely best to make this happen in a good manner. But next week you can expect to, start up in hardware. Many people might already have started reading the instruction on PyCom, and you might already have started writing your first program and done that, but many might not. And then you'll get help. You will get help if you haven't even installed the Atom. If you are a little bit unsure on how to download a program and, well, how that does work, someone will help you next week. So what you could do in preparation for this is that try to see if you can share your screen in Discord. That might be a good exercise. It's just a matter of using the server. Make sure that your microphone is working and your video. It's always nice to see who you're talking to. Those things are what you can prepare. Is there anything else you think that, Francis, you?
No, I think last year we had pretty good workshop sessions following this way, and it should be enough. And try to be as open as possible. And
Frederick, if I may add something, and also be patient, right? So the number of different operating system versions on your computer, on your device, there's so many variables that it's difficult to yes, you need to be patient. That's
absolutely. I know that you need to be. I mean, I got questions about that. I think the other day is that, I have a Windows computer. Which workshop session should I join? And the question to that I cannot answer, because it will be you will join the session that suits you best next week. And I think that the TAs have a plan for this. They will like have a Windows session and a Linux session and a Mac session, but I leave that to them, the actual planning. And the very best thing with Discord is that it's so easy for you as a student to actually jump around in different groups. So it's really that you are in control of your learning setting. So I do think that you need to take a big responsibility yourself, but also if that is handled good. But it's so many problems with hardware, and you say so very patient. We had problems last year with people that had to update their. If you have the MicroPython, the expansion board. I hope this has been sorted out, but I know last year there were older firmwares on the expansion board. So you need to upgrade the firmware on the expansion board. And I wouldn't say it's hard, but it's a couple of steps, and you need to be a little bit careful, but something happens during that process, you might break it. So I think that it shouldn't happen anything during that process. And also if you used, I guess that won't be anyone that uses Windows 7 anymore. I do really hope that no one is. But I think Windows 7 was a big problem. So Windows 10, it should be plug and play. Mac OS, it should be plug and play. Linux, it also should be plug and play, but I think you need to sort out your dial-out group more or less. But I think generally it should be plug and play. But there are so many that it generally has a problem. So.
And Fredrik, are you going to use Atom?
I actually recommend Atom. And that is from personal experience that I always have more problems with the VS Code PyMaker plugin. So I can write as we speak, because Atom.ie and VS Code, these two, which I write now, these are called IDEs, Integrated Development Environments. So it's programs that you write code in. They are free, very easy to download, and I would say that VS Code is the most popular IDE today. It's a Microsoft product, but it is not the usual Microsoft project. This is a open source version, and it's actually very sleek and nice. But I would say recommended Atom. And if you disagree, please say it, because. Or Marco, Francis.
No, I agree. I always use Atom. There's just few cases where the Atom and the PyCom plugin, they weren't really on the same like kind of version number. And so there were some issues with that, but hopefully that will not be the case. And now I mean they fixed many of these issues.
Yeah, but it should work with VS Code as well. So I'm just saying that if that is your choice, please stick with it. And personally, I'm using VS Code for, I would say, most things nowadays. But for everything that has, when I'm working with the PyCom devices, I'm only using Atom. So I use them both. So and that is mainly because of the PyMaker plugin.
And again, let's highlight those are free tools, right? So you can install both, you can test both, and you can decide later, right? So it's not, you don't need to invest any money in buying something that will not work.
They are free, and these are the only two that the PyMaker plugin works with. But actually, for just writing Python code, a text editor also works, and Python is free. So, but now we're going to run Python on board. And I know there are too many. Like we are like talking a little bit, maybe details here, and I guess it leaves it comes questions from this. Okay, how I'm going to do this and all that. Don't worry, we will try to pace carefully along, but next week we are going to start up with all these things, and you will do that during the workshops. Hopefully it will be fine. And I've said it before, if you want to skip ahead a little bit, I don't want to wait for new material, please check in the last year course. You will get a good start. There won't be so much changes. The only thing I can say about the last year's course, which you find on YouTube as well, is that there are some new versions of things, and it might not look exactly the same, but generally it is the same. But there are a lot of videos from last year's course on the Things network, which they have totally changed the console and everything since last year. So they are actually not relevant anymore. But the general concept is still there. So, and the same applies for the PyBytes platform. It doesn't look exactly the same. Things happen fast. Yeah. Quizzes, Canvas. Quizzes, you said, Francis, that they were open. So we don't have to.
The Canvas is also open. The quizzes, the first quiz is published. But regardless, if you have any problems accessing the Canvas or accessing the quiz, if you have problems with the quiz, just send me an email or tag me on Discord. But if you have any problems accessing the Canvas, you can tag Brigitta. And also, so you can directly message her or send her.
I think that she will probably not check Discord every day, or but I'll tag her, and if you don't hear from her, I'll make sure that she gets the message. You can actually email her. You'll find her on the LNU homepage, and then you're absolutely free to do that. So if you have specific problems, like I can't log in on Canvas, that's the kind of problem which, if you ask me, I am going to ask Brigitta. So just save. You will get a faster and better answer if you ask Brigitta directly. So I'm just saying. And then we have next week. You want to tell something about Monday, Francis? Who is Osama and what are we?
Next Monday, we are going to have this guest lecture from Kalmar Energy. So that's a governmental agency in our city that manages the energy sector. And they have basically a number of interesting IoT-based projects that are live and that they are operating since few years. And they will share their experience and their ideas on various applications that they have on IoT and using long-range network and so on. So it will be pretty interesting for all of us, and you can get some ideas also for your projects watching these lectures or from that session. Osama is also one of our TAs from last year, and he was also one of the best students in our department. So you will enjoy his talk and his presentation.
Yes, so that will be also a presentation more about the application and like the business perspective, I guess. But they are not like a IoT business. They're an energy company which are also working with IoT. So this is very interesting because you find this in a lot of places in Sweden at least. I'm not sure how it is in like in Italy, Marco, or.
It's very similar,
Okay.
similar, I would say.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So that will be interesting, and also as you said, Francis, Osama, great to meet him as well. I mean, he was a TA at this course last year, and he's not a student anymore, but he was a really good student. So, and we are also going to start with LoRa introduction. So actually that is Marco's subject for next week. So
okay,
I might add one here, or maybe we can do like this, wireless IoT introduction. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to introduce, wireless concepts, and you will understand, or you will, get to think about why we put, cell base stations on top of hills or mountains. There's a reason for that. And then we're going to look at, different technologies and why this LoRa one, or LoRa in general, is so interesting and so cool. So as we speak, I have a really small and cheap, about 20 euro device on the top of my roof, which is picking up LoRa signals from space, from satellites, which are about 2,000 kilometers away. And so that's unique, right? If you have been using Wi-Fi, you know that you move from the kitchen to the living room and you don't have any signal. Or, if you have your mobile phone, you know that there's places where you don't have any coverage. And now we're picking up signals which come from 2,000 kilometers away. So that is really cool, and we will understand why that is possible on this wireless IoT lecture.
Yeah, so that will be super interesting, and there always is so much information. So it's a hard course. I mean, it's because it's an introductory course, but we still need to cover everything from like basic hardware up to LoRaWAN, and you're going to do your own project. So we will try to keep it as advanced as still simple as possible, sort of. So, but please ask if you have like very specific questions, like okay, this is a like super specific and advanced question. Please ask them. You have never had the better opportunity to get an answer than with Marco if you have LoRa questions. He is a publisher also from at least a couple of books in this area. So.
And I think the interesting aspect is if you link this wireless part to the application part. So if you have really limited range, so let's say you have 50-meter range on IoT. So please think about what kind of applications are feasible with that. Which kind of parameter you're interested in 50-meter range. There's not many, right? Now, if you're talking about kilometers or tens of kilometers, then that's a completely different field. So Francis just presented Calmer Energy, and they could come up with their application because now you have long range wireless. So with 50 meters, there is not much going on. With 10 kilometers, it's much more interesting.
Yeah.
So wireless has an implication in terms of applications.
Yeah. And then you also, I mean, you haven't even addressed the power management, which Anna talked about, but that's also some like a part of everything. And what I think, we're not going to spend too much time here, but just like a teaser, because what I think mean, the IoT area, what makes things a lot interesting is that these kind of technologies, I mean, both if you add the battery, like you have much better batteries now today than we had 10 years ago. We have much faster embedded devices now, and they are also cheaper. And then you add on the next layer that, okay, we have LoRaWAN. I mean, 10 years ago, sort of, it wasn't even invented. I'm not sure exactly when it was invented, but about less than 10 years ago. Am I correct?
Yeah, sure, absolutely, yeah.
And I think that's interesting. I mean, there's so many things that if you add them all together, then
yeah, I'm raising that issue because I studied for my PhD in Sweden at KTH in Stockholm, and when I got excited about sensor networks, my supervisor would ask me, okay, so what kind of applications can we develop with this new technology? And again, at that time, the range was really limited. It was like 50 meters. And there's not much that you can come up with. So this, having long range opens a completely different field. So that is really, really cool.
So I'm super, that will be super next week, so Wednesday. And I think that you and I will keep that as a discussion in the same format that we had with Anna Förster on Wednesday. So in case I'm going to put out a video on from the Things Industries, which I have gotten permission from Vienke. I'm not probably pronouncing his name totally wrong, but one of the founders of the Things Network and now the Things Industries. They have a 60-minute video about the introduction to LoRaWAN, which fits this course perfectly. And well, why not use it? So I'm going to ask you to watch this video during next week. I'll add it to the YouTube channel, so you don't have to search for it. And I'll also remind you in the channel. But that will be a very good primer before we meet on Wednesday, Marco. So, and apart from that, we have workshops. So that's more or less like workshops when you're going to starting up. So the aim for next week, hardware-wise for you. So follow along and try to grasp your mind around what IoT is. And now we're going to start talking about wireless technologies. But the aim for you hardware-wise next week, if you have started up writing a Hello World program on your LowPi, if you have managed to maybe just connect it to Wi-Fi, that's super. You don't have to have more ambitions during the next week for hardware. But I'm sure that many of you will be very soon or already has been starting working on your projects. So as far as I can tell, there are many people in this Discord channel the server that have a long experience in this area, so which is super exciting. Okay, so in that case, there are some questions dropping in. Let's see if we can address them. My aim was that we would keep this in around 30 minutes, and we are at 32 minutes. So it's just mind adding this video to YouTube. Yeah, okay. And you were writing. Yeah, great. Thank you, Marco. There are some questions from the stream. And let's see. Can LoRa be used for humanitarian mission applications? Well, think that we have Marco in this talk. So please, Marco.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, yes. It's an excellent technology. Again, it's low cost. And as Fredrik was saying, it's low power, which is one of the most important aspects when you're designing an IoT application. So we have been, teaching and using IoT in many places, many countries in Africa, Latin America, and in Asia. And people come up with really cool applications, especially using LoRaWAN. So the answer is yes, definitely.
Yeah, and if you are a little bit interested in the applications for developing countries, Marco, you had a speech last year in this course, and also, as I said, there is a lot of great material, especially I would say the guest lectures from last year. Marco was a guest last year in the course. You made a really good talk about developing countries and applications, IoT applications. But yeah, I'm going to post the resources on Discord, and it will also end up in the planning document on our homepage. So don't worry, you will find all the links that is needed. Absolutely. And well, let's just take this question. I'm going to say interesting signal because in my building have no internet and 4G. It might be that it depends on what you're aiming to do. So how much data are you going to transmit? So, and do you have a LoRaWAN router nearby, or if you can fix that, then LoRa might be a good choice for that question. But it really depends. You won't be able to stream video.
Yeah, so this very long link comes with a cost, right? And the cost is the fact that you can send small chunks of data. So again, as a teaser, LoRa was developed because of IoT. And in the case of IoT, you're sending small quantities of information every now and then. So as you just said, it's not for video or for audio.
Yeah.
But we had an application about using it for audio. So maybe Pietro in the following weeks can cover that.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
or if we want to dive into Docker. Let's see. Okay, but in that case, I think that we can probably end the stream. And thank you very much for all you that has been joining in. And have a very, very good weekend. And see you on
too.
Monday.
Enjoy and see you next week.